I found one. There's another one.
What are you doing?
I'm finding eggs in the card that you made. It's like an Easter egg hunt.
Okay.
Hi, and welcome to Crafts by Two. I'm George.
And I'm Ken. For Easter, I made these frame cards for Easter eggs. They're kind of this stencil outline, and you can fill in the shapes with all different colored papers. It's really versatile.
And it's kind of cool.
So in this one, I left the stencil frame and the different colored patterns paper. In this one, I took the stencil frame off. And I'll show you in the video how I use the stencil frame.
There's one.
We're doing a video.
Oh, sorry.
I'll show you how I use the stencil frame with the chalks to do this. It's really versatile. You could do chalks, you could do inks, you could do Copic markers, you could do a background stamp over the stencil. There's so much you can do with it.
So you made 3 different cards with the files that you made?
Yep, it's 2 files. One's an A2 sized and one's A9 sized. So 5.5 by 4.25 or 8.5 by 5.5.
Wow, how am I going to find all the Easter eggs?
You'll have to keep counting.
2, 3...
While he's counting, I'll show you how I put it together. I've already cut the 2 cards. This is the A2 card, which is 4.25 by 5.5. And I've already cut a piece of paper for that. And I don't know if I'd necessarily use this green, but I'm just doing it for the demo. We had lots of this green on hand, and I thought it was kind of springy. And then these are all the pieces laid out for the A9 card, and I've already cut that out, and this is just an 8.5 by 11 scored down the center, so that's an A9. And I'm going to try the Tombow Mono Aqua. This was something we had from Joanne's in our haul video on Between Crafts, if you want to check out that channel to see our haul from there. But I'm really liking the Tombow Mono, the regular white glue, and they were out of it, and I saw this, so I figured I'd try it since they were having a big sale. I think I'm going to do the larger one first. And you'll notice I kept kind of the color theme that we did in the SVG, but this one, it's a little hard to see on the video. This is kind of a glossy, kind of slightly glittery paper. It just has a sheen to it. And I did those in kind of Eastery pastels. They didn't have any yellow for this paper, so I just substituted a pink and a purple to kind of mix it up. And then this one, I did a whole bunch of different pattern paper just to kind of give it a different look. So I'm just going to slide these out of the way while I work. And like we mentioned, you could use this sideways, so you could do a landscape kind of card, or you could do it vertically for a portrait kind of approach. So for this one, I think I'm going to do the big one with that landscape approach. So you just want to think about how it's going to be before you glue things down. So this one needs to go this way. And also, like we said, you don't have to use the frame. I kept it black just so it was a nice contrast for the video, but you could do any color with this, or you could simply kind of tack the frame down just a little bit to hold it in place, and then place your colored pieces and then lift that frame off, so then you have kind of an outline, which would look much better than this hand-laid approach. But for our video, I'm going to actually glue this down. This Tombow has a very fine tip, so I'm actually able to kind of just trace along here. And because it's this Agua, which is a little bit thinner than the white glue, it's flowing very well, so I'm barely having to squeeze the bottle to get it to flow. And you really don't want to put down a heavy bead of glue because it's going to seep out and the lines aren't all that thick. And I did get some glue in the front, so we'll see how well this Tombow dries and what effect it has on the dried piece. I'm just going to grab a paper towel. There is some glue seeping out inside the piece. It's not a big deal because we're going to cover these up with the parts. So now I laid this all out portrait, and I just have to think in my head how this is all going to play out now. Long ways. So this is going to be this corner, but I want to start with the opposite corner first. Just laying down glue for a few pieces all at once. And these notch in really well because of the cardstock giving it a little bit of depth. And since everything's precisely cut, it just pops right in. And one thing I didn't do on this green piece is the little notch. I needed a little glue by the corner, and I missed that. But I was able to spooge a little over there. But this paper really does make it easy to piece it together now that I've got everything laid out. It's coming together a lot quicker. So there's that finished card. And one thing our friend Tabitha Carroll at Shutterscape Creations warned us about is the Agua has a tendency to warp the paper. And I don't know if you can see, but it is kind of curling up a little bit. So I would keep that in mind. I think I'll stick to the white glue. But we got this on sale, so I can't complain too much. Oh, this frame was a little too close to the edge. So there's the finished A9 sized card, and this one was done in kind of that portrait approach. And the A2 I'm going to do vertically. Because things were notching together so well, I think I'm going to try just laying down the pieces and see what it looks like without the frame. See how that comes out. And because this is a green card, I think I might leave out the green pieces, which I kind of had as background items. We'll see how it comes together, and maybe I'll put those in later. So I'm going to be a little more careful putting down the glue so I don't get on the black areas. I'm just using my other hand to stabilize the outline while I'm putting in the other pieces. And I am pretty... whoops. I wasn't paying attention. Maybe I will be putting the green pieces in. Well, I'm going to leave that for now. I'm only putting down a slight bead because I don't really want to saturate the paper and have it warp too much like it was before. It still has some pretty good tack on the glue, even though it's been sitting for a little bit for those other areas. Could have put a little more on this side, but maybe when I lift the frame, I can take care of that. So you can still see where my glue accident happened. But I'm going to see if I can pop this off. So that came out okay, if it wasn't for this glue. It's kind of a nice abstract. Might use a toothpick if I was giving this to someone to get a little bit more glue under some of the corners. But I think that came out nicely. But you could pop that frame back on if you wanted to. So you can play around and try some different styles and different designs before you glue down your frame. If I was putting it on now, I would probably run the glue on the card itself instead of trying to lay down a glued piece over these and possibly getting glue on the edges. I think I'm going to leave the frame off, but because of my goof, I'm going to put the green pieces on because there's too much of a reflection there from that excess glue. Also, unfold this so it stops popping. But you could also use the stencil on its own on a card, maybe with a nice pattern paper underneath, or you could use the stencil truly as a stencil and maybe do something with chalks on white paper to kind of give a nice effect, or inks, or you could stamp a pattern, more of a background stamp onto the paper and then lift off the stencil area. I think that worked out. So there's the A2 card and oops, the A9 card. One's portrait and one's landscape. I think I'm going to take this stencil and try one of those techniques. Maybe grab some of the chalks and do it on white paper. So I went ahead and grabbed some of our Pebbles chalks. These are the basic brights. Thought that would be fun for Easter. I've gone ahead and cut a A2 card out of white cardstock. So it's 8.5 by 5 1/4. Or 5.5, sorry. So the final card is 5.5 and 4 1/4. I've gone ahead and used some painter's tape to tape it down because I didn't want to glue the stencil down, but I didn't want to have to hold it down all the time. This way I can use both hands. This I think I am going to try to remember not to do the areas where I had the green before. So let's start with a yellow. I did a lighter shade first, and I'm just kind of doing a darker around the curve just to give it a little dimension. So now probably going to do the same yellow here. I'm trying to work the color in to the edges well without really pushing the stencil. But this is just regular cardstock and it's working out well. It's not nearly enough color for that large of an area. And this is probably not coming out well on the video, but it is giving a nice shade. Then I'm just gonna kind of accent with that next darker shade on the side there. A little bit up top here, just to kind of give it a little bit of dimension and character. So I think that's good for the yellow. So let's do a light blue. And when you start out with the colors using these pebble chalks, I recommend, a light stroke because each will interact a little bit differently. Then you can see how much pressure you need to really get the shade you want to distribute. Like this blue's a much lighter touch. And again, I'm just bringing in a little bit of the darker blue. Give it a little accent. And I'm just using a light swirling motion to try to spread the color evenly. But one aspect of the chalks with this use is they kind of have that stroke, but it blends together well. But you could use Copics or something if you wanted kind of a smoother color. I just thought this would give it more of a homespun look. Oh, and you can see that my fingers must have been greasy because right there is a good fingerprint that I've just now revealed like a good CSI dusting for prints. Now for a pink. This pink is definitely a lighter touch, so I'm pressing a little heavier here. And then the darker pink is definitely the opposite. It comes on much heavier. So now let's see how this came out. So it's a little hard to see on the camera because this is so light. But this is definitely a softer touch, but it kind of gives it a stained glass sort of look. It's a little bit of a better angle. You can see some of the colors differentiating there. But there's a lot of versatility with this, so you could use the parts, you can use it as a stencil, or you can leave the outline as part of the design. So I hope you enjoyed it. There's not that many.
7.
So one thing we forgot to mention is these were designed so you can use them landscape or portrait. You do want to think about it before you glue it down, because like portrait works better this way, but that's not how you want your card to open.
Yep.
So this one was designed to be landscape.
So we're giving the A9 template to everyone.
The link to download the file is on our website. You can find the link to our website down in the description if you're not watching this on our website already.
And if you're one of our Patreons, you get the template for the A2 card.
So the Patreon download will have both files. You don't have to download the A9 that's available to the public. You'll get the Patreon collection that has both the A2 and the A9.
So if you're interested in becoming a Patreon, that's also in the description below. So remember, if you found this episode informative and entertaining, give us a thumbs up to let YouTube know that you liked us.
Plus, if you're not a subscriber already, click the little icon in the corner. That way you can subscribe quick and easy. That way you'll get announcements about our videos.
And our giveaways. And if you want to, leave a comment below. We love to read your comments.
We're doing a big anniversary giveaway right now. If you're watching this fresh off the presses, you can still enter. So check out our channel and look for our first anniversary giveaway.
It's huge!
2 big giveaways.
Yeah, I'm excited. So, until next Tuesday, or probably sooner, we'll talk to you later. Bye!
Bye!
Hi. No. What did we say?
Hi, and welcome to Crafts by 2.
I have melody-itis.